settle
Yeah.
that.
We're starting?
We're starting.
Do I know what I'm doing today? No. But I'm here and I'm gonna give it my best shot.
Assalamualaikum. Hey, welcome back to another episode of Facts of Life, #1 podcast in Brunei. I'm your host, Zed Peace.
I am Chaos.
And for today, we have a very special guest. I would say, can I give an introduction for you, Tuan?
Sure.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So, Brunei Heritage by Rozan Yunos has been, to me, one of the most impactful pages in terms of resource out there about anything to do with Brunei. Brunei, what's happening now, things that happened in the past. And it's a collection of Brunei's story. And Tuan Rozan Yunos has very generously decided to say yes to our invitation, and we hope today we'll get to talk about everything that has interest to the youth, to people like us, and as well everyone in general. So, Tuan Rozan, would just like to again say thank you for joining this podcast.
Oh, thank you for inviting me. I mean, when I received your DM, I was like, oh, okay, this sounds interesting, because as you all know, I'm probably one of the oldest person on Brunei social media at the moment, and to have Z Piece, I said, okay, Z Piece, all right, Okay. Why not?
But do you know of the things that I do? And
oh yes, of course. I think.
would you say you follow it or not really?
I actually know what you do.
Okay. Wow.
Actually, I in fact, at one time I think there was a rap where you put my name in
I
it.
do, yes.
So what's next on this rap grind? Who knows? I'm just trying to be the rap Rozan Yunos.
Wow,
I was like, okay,
that is so cool.
It's like I think I put it up and said that's the first time my name being mentioned in the rap.
No, that's how cool you are to me.
Alright,
So
yeah,
again, because you have not only all this experience and wisdom, and you're sharing it, and you don't mind sharing it. To me, that's the most wonderful thing about you. You're out there. People know who you are. You don't mind taking photos with fans and everything. You have fans, and I think that's really cool.
That like surprised me. I mean, it's like kind of unusual to have an old.
Was it
person.
something you were expecting?
Not really, because I think put it this way. I've been in this, not the social media world, but I have been more or less out there putting information out, ever since internet basically started. I think it was about in the early 2000s. So, and quite a few of us who are actually still around, like Anak Brunei and so on.
Oh yes.
So we were on whatever platforms that we could find ourselves on in those days, and the idea has always been to tell about Brunei.
Yeah.
By then I was working in the government for about 20 over years by then, and I said, I've got this information. I mean, not the secret ones, obviously. Informations which I thought, yeah, why not put it out
Wait,
there?
there are secret information?
Oh yeah, of course.
Okay, we'll talk offline.
Yeah, but there are a lot of other things which people do know. Even the common things which, like I started off with in fact, I started off because of, how do I say this? I started off because of Hari Raya, basically. Because, when you go visit your grandparents, your granduncles, your uncles, whatever, and so on, and they start talking about, sometimes you sit down there, they're just talking about, dulu Najmani ni, dulu was like this, dulu was like this. And at first I was just sort of listening, I said, oh, that's interesting. Then the next year, sometimes they tell the same story. Old
the
people,
same story.
We like to tell the same stories. Sometimes with added twists. But if you start to ask, what else is there? Then they started to tell you more and more things. So if you're not interested, of course, they just stop with their story. But once they started to tell them with more and more stories, I found that a lot of these things ought to be captured, not to be told to the future, to the younger generations and so on. At first, I was just keeping them in my memories, I just remember them. But then sooner or later, then you start realizing, people passed away, people moved on and so on. So the next year you come, they're no longer there. So their stories basically have stopped. So you have managed to get all these stories. So I thought to myself, why not write them down? So that's what I do. So I write them down, but I also put them in whatever blogs that I could
And you
find.
had newspaper articles.
Yeah, and around. But then
Like
there was a lot of blogs then. It was only when the newspaper started, when Brunei Times started, I think about a few months after they started, they invited me whether I could do a regular column for them.
Yeah.
So which I did. So this is, it was supposed to be a weekly column. Of course, at that time I was working, so I couldn't really do a weekly column. But we did as many as I could within years, and was from 2007.
Yeah, I think I remembered seeing you post about hundreds of articles.
It's actually 300 over. Actually.
300.
By the time I finish,
That's amazing.
From 2007 to 2016 when they closed down. So basically, I was the longest writer, the feature writer, if you want to call it, the Golden Legacy column. So I wrote for about 10 years for them.
Amazing.
Yeah, wow. So it's about 300. I lost count because I don't keep track of them. So I was but sometime last year I tried to keep track of all the articles, and I realized that I couldn't.
There's too many.
Yeah, there's too many. Yeah.
Do you think there's a big interest for history here?
It depends on the kind of history that you want. People who go to school, of course, obviously they've got this syllabus which they have to follow and so on. And also, I think most of the early part of history is focused very much on memorizing dates, memorizing names,
facts, dates.
So people didn't really like that. So that's why people get turned off by history.
Yes.
But the kind of history that we do is not so much about those. So the kind of history that we do is that here's the culture, here's the heritage of Brunei, and that people want to see, because they just want to know, oh, okay, 10 years ago it was like this, 20 years ago it was like this, during my father's time it was like this. So you can see the development. So that kind of history, what we call the popular history, is what people accept. But if you want to start longer, then it depends on how you write them and how you get people to capture on that thing. So I tried to know as much history as I can. I'm not a historian, but
you're not a historian.
I'm not.
Okay.
So people actually ask me, what I teach in UBD. I said not history. People was like thinking, I teach history. No, I said I teach public policy. So anyway, so the history that we do, like I said, it's not basically history. It's more like old memories, So, and for some reason, that seems to
it resonates with people.
That's the right word. Yeah, it resonates with all the people that like to see it.
And it's for people like me as well. So when you posted your website, what happened was you had a section where you had music. The traditional music.
Oh yes, the website.
Do you remember this?
I forgot about that website. Yeah,
it's your own website. So what happened was that's where I downloaded the Brunei traditional songs, and we remixed it into rap songs.
I see. Yes.
Aku MIB. Aku MIB. The sample was from a koleksi anak-anak. All of those samples were from Rozan's
forgot about it. Yeah, it was in fact. That was one of the reasons. I mean, the thing was I started the website simply because quite a number of people were asking me whether I have this, I have that. So at that time I had the patience to actually download and upload back onto the website.
Before social media was
before social media was in there. It's BruneiResources.com.
Yes, I suppose when it comes to putting the resource online, you just don't know who will have it's accessible for everyone.
It's true. Yes.
So
I mean, in fact, that was the idea. The idea was, look, I attend all these conferences, meetings. Not so much meetings, more on conferences where people share papers and so on. And these papers are not exactly easily available. I mean, if you go to the libraries, you probably might find it, but when you're overseas, you can't really access Brunei Library. So I would scan them and
people
put
can
them on
refer
a
to
PDF
them.
and I put them up there. Yeah, those were the days when I had more time.
But of course, now I think internet is consumed by social media and social media platforms.
Yeah, so it's a different change. Because back in the days, I think not everyone have access to internet as well.
True.
That's true.
It was kind of hard.
Yeah.
Now everyone has internet 24/7, and we even for a podcast like this, as you asked just now, it's sometimes 50 minutes, 1 hour.
Yeah, I know.
So for you guys tuning in, thank you for subscribing, for following, and
I saw one more subscriber.
One more subscriber.
So it was 43 to 44.
Yeah.
All right.
Hey fellas, look at my progress.
the other day was posting videos about crocodiles in Brunei.
Yeah.
Even that kind of thing gets engagement, gets crazy engagement.
And the
think-
longkang, yeah.
I don't know where you get your WhatsApp videos, but sometimes
It's funny because I belong to a number of WhatsApp groups.
For sure.
I sometimes I'm just in there. I'm the silent member of that particular group.
but they'll share video.
But they share videos and so on.
Yeah.
And of course, after you probably attain a certain reputation, you don't have to wait for the WhatsApp group. Somebody will just happily send you directly.
Yeah.
Yes, here's a video of certain things, and so I get most of the videos firsthand. Actually,
Yeah, wow.
So
Wow.
so before it even hits the viral,
That's why.
but I don't really, I don't know, for some reason. Crocodile seems to be
why?
an interesting topic.
Yeah. But crocodiles are, I mean, they're dangerous as well. I
Yeah,
mean,
that's
it's
right,
a danger if they're ilungkang.
I know.
Crocodiles
yeah,
always
I know.
been around, even in my my parents' punya story.
Yes.
You know how the ekor
Inside the house.
inside the
yeah.
house
It goes
they
inside.
attack. Yeah, because
Yeah.
when it's flooded, the crocodile will go up.
Yeah, it's
They go to
similar. Yeah.
houses.
It's just as because we Bruneians tend to be sort of closely related to water,
Yeah.
to Kampong Ayer.
Yeah.
And then most of the settlements, even now, if you go to the Damoan area and so on, you go further up to even to Kilanas, the river is just at the back of these houses, which people don't really realize, Yeah, so it's not surprising that the crocodiles. And the other thing also, I'm not sure whether they have any predators of crocodiles here. So they're basically
They're the alpha animals.
Yeah,
right?
they're basically left
They're top
alone.
of the food chain.
Yeah,
And then,
so it's not surprising that you see more and
Yeah.
more of them. So
I mean, to me, infestation, kalau Brunei is monkeys.
yeah,
I don't know if the crocodiles can somehow help clear out the monkey infestation.
yeah, I wish.
But they actually
No, I shouldn't say I
together, they're
wish.
friends.
Yeah,
The monkey will go up. The crocodile
Yeah,
will
so-
cross the river.
Yeah, that's why monyet ane actually
Yeah.
pintar. Right?
In fact, crocodiles do come in our culture.
Yeah.
macam-
Folklore, our
yeah, and so on,
no?
so on. I think even at one stage they say, kalau you kapunan apa.
Oh,
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah,
Apa, what's the
kapunan means that when you're supposed to eat something, you don't eat it kapa,
Yeah.
and then your parents get upset. I say,
Yeah.
karang kapunan, karang kena makan buaya.
kena makan buaya?
Or
Oh,
or
okay.
bonjor kali, bonjor and then dyan makan like bonjor karang jadi buaya.
Jadi buaya. Okay.
Yeah, something like that.
So buaya crossed over into our culture.
The only buaya term I know is buaya darat. But yeah, it is. It's within
within the
society
concept,
wise.
yeah. So buaya is quite a common item in our lives. In
Yeah.
that sense.
It's interesting. I mean, to me, one interesting thing about Brunei is our natural surroundings. Ada monkeys everywhere.
Yeah.
Rainforest, everything.
Yeah. Is it a rainforest? Do you think Brunei is still considered?
Oh yeah, of course. If you look at the Brunei's forestry policy, for instance, we keep 70%. It's a deliberate policy to keep 70% of Brunei.
Wow.
And it's also, I think, it's a policy. We have this agreement with the of the forest. We have this what we call the Heart of Borneo. So Heart of Borneo, there is an area within Brunei, within Sarawak, and
All
also
the
within
states,
Indonesia. So it's the Heart of Borneo. So we try to keep this area as basically, I don't know whether you want to the lungs.
Yeah.
because this is
It's center of the
Yeah.
island. Huh?
so Brunei committed about 70% of our forest cover.
Does that mean we're covered 70% in forest? Or?
Yes, 70% meaning that we need to keep it green.
Yeah.
But of course, you can do a lot of things to do with it. Doesn't mean it stops development.
Yeah.
But you just have to know what can we plant, what can we what can we produce, and so on.
Like, do you think Brunei is a small like in terms of there's no more land at all? There's actually
Our problem, this is my experience when I was to Ministry of Development.
Yeah.
Is our problem is that Brunei in terms of geology tend to be very focused very much on how do I say this? Brunei is young in terms of geology, geological age. So that means this is where also because of this the structure of geology and so on, this is where we get our oil.
oh yeah.
So our oil compared to any other oil, say in Saudi and so on, is of a very
Young?
So the it always sells at a much higher rate than whatever was priced on the market. So this really has because if you have oil, it's much easier to process and so on. So it's less costly. So that we were able to sell whatever the cost, whatever the price of oil is in the market, ours would be like a few dollars higher.
Yeah, wow.
Right. So, but because of that, you see a lot of soil conditions are not exactly good for development, especially in the Kuala Blight area. Kuala Blight area, Suria area is mostly pit soil. So to develop pit soil basically means you have to dig out all the pit. Yeah, you're right. I mean reclaim and then get a hill somewhere and fill it up. So this is why it's harder to do development. In Blight. You're left with Tutong, but Tutong is basically... Which is
ironic because Blight is the biggest district.
Yes. So you have to go inside. You have to go into the Labi area and so on if you want to do it. But it's harder because it's so far away from the city.
Yeah.
The Dera Brunei district is just too small.
Yeah.
You know,
we're the smallest.
We're packed.
Yeah.
You know, so in terms of population, we're packed. One of the big challenges that we had in terms of developing housing, for instance, is that to find enough big land to do what we do.
That's the problem.
That's the problem.
Oh,
so since everybody is centered here in Brunei, we needed to find housing for people here in Brunei. So this is why you see a lot of development in Lugu.
Yeah,
Lugu is already like at the boundary of Blight. At the boundary of Brunei, Tutong. So
even across the highway, they're building a new development.
So this is a problem in terms of we can start to build inwards, but then you start to encroach into the forest and so on.
So most likely we won't want to go.
We can. I mean, it doesn't stop us, but the cost of development would be quite high.
How about across the sea instead? Reclaim, extend the coastal areas.
Yeah, we could, but reclamation is always expensive.
But so between going forest and going that way, which route?
That's what the government has to decide. What should we do? So this is why development. You can see development in Lugu. You see development in Bukit Bruang. So these are like the two biggest areas that we could do.
Yeah.
But Blight is going to be very difficult.
And do you think as well as because our population is growing faster, or is that
we have not been growing as fast as people think? In fact, to the point, Brancali, if you start to look at the population statistics, because we only do the census every 10 years. So in between the 10 years, we are sort of guessing what the growth rate is and so on. I think the previous one we had to downgrade the population.
The population count.
It wasn't as high as we thought. So when the census actually comes, it says, we are a lot smaller.
Yeah.
The problem with census is that it takes into account of everybody who happened to be in that country at that particular point in time.
It might be different.
And half of us are actually workers from outside.
Half? You think? Wow.
So about 100. We are about 440. I think the foreign population used to be around 180.
Yeah.
It's less than half, but a significant number anyway. So so they tend to come and go, and especially during COVID, people are going, so not enough people are coming in.
But now that of course borders are open.
So hopefully the workers are coming back. That's why quite a number of shops had to close down simply because they couldn't find the workers. Workers had one, so
Yeah, and I think maybe when your popularity during COVID, it exploded because people. That's the time when people were
stay at home and
the one that I like is when you post up anonymous questions, and I wonder how does this guy have the time to answer all these questions?
I mean, COVID was not so much about when people were staying home. I think at that point in time, a lot of people had frustrations and worries and so on. And there was no way for them to sort of post it. I mean, there are the media, of course. We got the Reddit, we got the Brunei FM, and so on. But what they did with mine is that I kept it anonymous. So in other words, if you were to post in any other column, there's also that possibility that you could still be commented on, attacked on, and so on.
Whereas this one is totally...
whereas in my case, I'll just look at it, I say, okay, this is a worthwhile comment for me to put up. So I'll just screenshot it. So I'll just grab the actual content. So I didn't put up the photos of the person who posted it, so you could basically say what you want. Of course, it's censored in the sense I don't censor the comments because that's exactly a screenshot of what they actually say.
Yeah.
So what I would censor whether it's worthwhile to put on or not.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes some of the comments are
Not
a bit too extreme, and so on. So I don't post those. But I realized at that point in time there was no room. There was no place for them to express their frustrations and so on. So I put them up. A few people commented, please stop posting because it's too negative. And when I said this is what people are feeling at that point in time. They were helpless.
Yeah. And they were, I think, using platforms like yours to share this.
Yeah, so I put them up, and of course, as soon as everything was okay, people stopped sending me comments and so on.
Yeah.
The latest one is surprising because I didn't really realize what NGL was.
NGL. Slang is not gonna lie.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so I was like thinking, this looks kind of interesting, So I decided to just play around with it, and suddenly the questions like exploded. It was like I was expecting like one or two questions. I mean, I was like getting suddenly hundreds a day.
Yeah, wow.
I said, sorry, there's no way I could answer this,
What was the most interesting question?
The most interesting one, I can't comment on. Answering you, how do I have time? I don't actually have the time. I do it in between what I do.
Yeah.
In other words, I do something, then I look, a question popped up. I said, is it worth answering or is it not? So then probably after a while, I said, this is worth answering because I have knowledge on this and so on. Somebody commented sometime, I've asked this question like 20 times. Yeah, I said, I know. If I'm not answering you, I'm not answering you. But what I found sometimes is that sometimes I don't know, the word I would use is kasihan. Because some of the questions, they could have found out about themselves. They could have asked somebody else. But my feeling is that they didn't have...
They might not have... they might not know anyone.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
True.
So just putting it up there and hopefully that I'm answering it.
Yeah, hopefully that can help them somehow.
Yeah, that's true. So I think of it as a service in that sense,
That's good.
helping people.
Yeah. So, and do you foresee staying on social media much longer, or?
I've always been in the social media for like, I would say close to 20 years now. You know, so the thing is, we don't look for the fame. I mean, I'm not in there because you want to be famous or anything. My intention has always been, how can I help you? So
that's great.
So it's a different way of looking at it. So sometimes people get upset at me. I mean, can't you focus on something else rather than I say it's not about that. It's about as you grow older, you realize that have you done enough good deeds?
Yeah.
So that's how I see it. So to me, it's just like trying to help people, and hopefully it turned out to be a good deed. And that's all there is.
Inshallah.
I believe that as well. That's a mentality that we always try to have.
Yeah.
Do you have any advice for people like us? Macam, we're trying to do all these things for Brunei. We want to invite people here
to spread the positive vibe.
I mean, to me, the youth of today, I think, have done fantastic in terms of using the technology and so on.
Yeah.
But sometimes I wish there were more of you. More of this youth. I mean, after a while, you start to realize that we see the same people all the time. We know who leads this, who leads that, and so on. But then you're hoping to get more and more. So that's one. Secondly, I think I wish it was in some sense focus. We are Bruneians as a rule are generous people. So you see, someone posted about some kind of poverty here and there, will go viral, and everybody would just stream there to help.
I see. Is that what you mean?
So I wish things like this are coordinated in the sense that we don't all have to go. I mean, you go to that poor guy's house. You got like 20 bags of rice. What are you gonna do with 20 bags of rice?
Everyone.
So that kind of thing. I wish it was better coordinated. I mean, of course, I wish there were more people. And second, I wish it was better coordinated in that sense. But I think the most important thing is that we need to work together. So that's what we realize. Of course,
not just between generations, but between any field.
Because the times are different. The times are different. In those days, during my time when I come back from England, I went over to the scholarship section of the Ministry of Education, and they tell me, look, you've got like 5 jobs waiting for you. You can go to any one of these 5, but you don't have that kind of situation anymore. So I would say the youth of today are more resilient in the sense that they're not like us. I mean, I was more like a pampered child, if you could use it, in those days, because we were basically, every one of us got jobs when we come back. We didn't have any. For most youth nowadays, is that okay? We graduate now,
Now what?
So
Now
that kind
the
of thing.
real-
But I wish them to have one word I would like to use is kana'a. Kana'a means satisfied. But if you could be satisfied with what we have at the moment, I'm not saying that because we're forcing you, but there is a difference in the life of, say, 30, 40 years ago, where life was, even though we got jobs and so on, but life was much harder.
Yeah.
We didn't have today people are born with ama and of course and so on. So there's a big difference. But at the end of the day, I think we do need to work together. And that's all I'm just going to say. And quite a number of people ask me this question. I find it hard to say because I see the youth are doing what they're doing. But except that there's just quite a lot of them, and everybody's doing their own things.
Everybody's trying to just do things themselves. If there was a focus or direction, there might be more collaboration.
That's
more
right.
people
Yes.
together. I think that's why I would say this is a successful collaboration time. Like,
Interesting.
hopefully, once you post this up, it'll be people might follow it, and
Yeah.
like we can get more guests and
Yeah.
more of these things. And that's what I really believe in collaboration as well. I think there's a lot to be. I think honestly, there's a lot to be grateful for the Brunei. Like I think gratitude and shukr is something that we cannot express because there's just so many the opportunities are there. And, but
of course, the economic, I have to say, the economic conditions are not good in that sense. You can't exactly, I mean, there are job opportunities, but sometimes the job opportunities, I think, depends on experiences and so on. So those are kind of hard.
Yeah, I remember a lot of people were asking you about jobs, job seekers asking for help somehow.
The highest number of questions, if I could start counting the questions, is that how to get through the SPA tests and interviews. And unfortunately, that's not a question I can answer. So every day I would get like 20 questions of that nature. So job related is questions which are very popular.
It kind of maybe echoes the actual scenario.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
the reality.
Just keep on trying, guys.
Yeah,
Just
but
keep on trying.
I have to admit, I mean, I want to say keep on trying, but sometimes kasiyan lah, especially when you're not when your education level is not up to certain standards and so on,
Yeah, but it's amazing as well because we hear of people doing macam YouTube full time. Here. That one doesn't require SPA.
That's true. Yes, yeah. I'm quite amazed actually. I mean, I have my own TikTok account. And so,
See, even Rozan has TikTok.
So I'm like, when I look at some of the videos and so I say, wow, In fact, I'm honestly impressed. I mean, had I not been teaching, had I not been communicating with young people, I wouldn't know what's going on. So yeah.
And there you go. Because and there's definitely more to come. I think once the younger generation grows up and they become more resilient and they do more things, that will definitely something to look forward to.
The other thing I think to the youth, not the problem is talking about the youth. We're talking about people with not enough qualification to people who are overqualified and so on. But I would advise for those who do not have enough qualifications to find the qualifications. Because the questions that I get, can I move from this division to that division? Can I move from this to that? And I know why they can't do that, simply because they don't have enough O-level, they don't have A-levels and so on. So if one advice I could give to those people out there, please find whatever qualifications you need to find and do that. But for the other people who are, I wouldn't say overqualified, but for people who have degrees and so on, sometimes I said, why are you not moving? It's because the subject that you have probably may not be attractive enough to the employers. So in other words, you have a degree in psychology and you want to do something else. Probably the employer say, maybe I want to find somebody with a degree in economics or a degree in accounting and so on. So and MPAC, the manpower
Empire,
manpower council actually runs quite a number of courses on this. So I said, why not go for that? You know? So those are some of the things that you could also still improve, even though you're highly qualified. But you might want to sort of, you know, add to whatever qualifications you have, certain qualifications, which may be what I use now, economic friendly.
Okay,
so
like something to make it more attractive. We'll we have a few more minutes for this segment. I'll just we'll have a wrap up session.
Okay, sure.
After this, but stay tuned for the next segment of Facts of Life. Holla.
Yo. This is our squad, memang VIP. Bila masuk venue memang MVP. Tak ada lagi masalah yang enemy. Sibuk dengan blessings dengan rezeki. Hey, ini bukan gang, ini family. Panggil aku bang, siapa mahu hit. Terus terang dan dia can handle me. Jangan sampai kita jadi tragedy. Razor with the cut, jadi tolong jangan dekat. Tapi kalau mau sampai cepat dia dapat. Siapa akan menang mungkin obvious. Belum lagi tidur boleh panggil ku insomnious. Kita semua warriors, jangan cuba test them. Banyak budak fail bila lawan dengan accents. Banyak acah real tapi sebenarnya accent. Kita number one tapi ini bukan flex man. It's another head that's your cruiser. Dan kita semuanya sharp shooters. Jadi jangan cuba nanti kena shoot. Siapa mau battle sila masuk booth. This is our squad memang VIP. Bila masuk venue memang MVP. Tak ada lagi masalah yang enemy. Sibuk dengan blessings dengan rezeki. Hey, create VIP on the game now. Budak memang lain, not the same now. Bukan main-main, jangan play now. Headshot, bruh, where your brain now.
We do a lot of macam writing apa. Tapi the problem with writing apa ni is that Brunei market bila yang beli buku is small bah. So we need to produce like 5 to 10 books a month. We're not producing 5 to 10 books a month to make the whole thing rolling. Ataupun the 5 to 10 books itu assuming every single book kena balik.
Yeah, and but how do you see is the market for books and
Not English.
non-English
Not
books?
English.
Oh, that's
Not English books, unfortunately. There's limited. My books, two of my books have won the bestseller award kan?
yeah, that's
For Dewan Bahasa.
Is it English books?
They're both English books, which is unusual lah. But I do a 600, 700 copies pun dapat bestseller award ba. So it means it doesn't really. The other books lagi tertrok konto in the market are not even selling.
Because I think that's one even a venture maybe I want to go into publishing atau books. But if you're saying that it might not be
as lucrative as you think.
lucrative.
There are two publishers to Brunei, basically ours sama Dr. Ramton, M Creation.
Okay.
Tapi even for me, I tend to focus on books that I write. And then of course now I'm starting to get all the young people to start writing.
Yeah.
So that means what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to expose as many young people as I can.
Yeah.
So what I did macam last year is I wrote a book together with another student of mine, Hasni, Yani Yahya, and we managed to do it quite well. So at least now she has experience in terms of writing.
So she wrote the book and you edit?
No. What happened is that the last year's book, The Broken Dreams, was actually a compilation of short stories. So I wrote about 3/4 of them. She wrote about 1/4 of them. We put them in a book. And of course, we get joint authorship, and we published the book. So it's interesting because the kind of stories that we tell, Broken Dreams is actually 20 stories of stories without happy endings. So that's basically it.
It's not some ghost stories, kan? It's
the new one that we do is actually another young writer, Zifa. That's not the real name of the author.
Okay.
In this particular context, he did about the stories is in Broken Dreams there are about 20 stories. For the Scary Dreams we had only about 10 stories, but the stories are long.
Okay.
So he wrote he wrote 8 of them. I wrote 2. So the idea here is that I could have just published the book under his name, but having me as a writer, it helps. It helps that book to sell. So that's what I plan to do. I think I'm going to do a lot more collaboration with young writers.
That's good.
So it helps to sell their work. So in that sense, because sometimes we do publish books without my name on it, and we realize that it doesn't sell as well.
Okay.
So I'm just helping
Yeah,
them to sell.
I think
it.
when with any product, whether it's books
Yeah.
or it's really the marketing
That's
push
true,
of
yeah.
it. I think having your name and authors, I think of course it will.
Yeah, it does.
boost.
Yeah.
So hopefully this podcast as well.
Yeah. So we have 20
We get more subscribers.
more subscribers. Yeah.
Well, what I'll do is we'll post it together.
Yeah, of course. Let's do that. Let's post it
that'll
together.
be
Good
nice.
idea.
Yeah, we'll post it
Yeah,
together.
that'll be nice.
So this is last segment for the episode. It's the wrap up segment. Tuan Rozan, you've been throughout, I think, my journey as a creative, you've been quite a big impact. As I say, songs from your website, Lulu, when we experimented,
Yeah.
we were just starting out. Sampai now we actually get to meet the person.
Yeah, I was like, I wish I could meet the person.
So
Really.
to be it's again going back to touch on youth and
Yeah.
what we're trying to do. I think collaboration is a big thing. Knowing that you are having authors under your wing. How do we apply for this position? I actually want I have some book ideas that I want to one day write as well.
Yeah, it's not that hard actually. So if you have
But 60,000 words, 80,000
yeah,
words.
not really. I tell people not to think about 80,000 words.
Yeah,
Think in terms of 2,000 words.
that's more manageable.
Yeah. So what you do is, if you have something to say, if you could say it in 1,500 to 2,000 words, that's already one chapter.
Yeah, true.
So it's just a matter of adding to that particular chapter.
Kali 10 sih.
Yeah. So unless you're thinking of a novel where you have to develop the characters, you have to develop the storylines.
I think for some of us, the idea of book is because we want it to be a marketable product. So that's why 80,000, like a novel-sized book, is the target.
Yeah. But I would say if you've got a lot of ideas, then to put the ideas into bite size. So like I said, do it in terms of short stories. So this is the idea. It is 2,000 words. Then you can stop writing. You've developed everything about that particular idea. Then you move on.
Yeah.
So if you have like 10 or 20s of this,
You
you can just make it into a book form.
compilation.
So so that's not difficult. We can do that easily.
Yeah. Is that something you hope to see? More writers?
I hope there are more people like that.
Yeah.
But people tend to think of books as like what you said 80,000 words.
Yeah.
So I said no. 2,000 words, 10 articles.
Yeah.
We're talking about 20. We're talking about 20 articles. Then you're fine.
Okay.
Yeah, that 20 articles will be a book about half about that thick.
Like, yeah.
Yeah. So once the beauty about that is once you get that published, then you get more ideas.
Yeah.
Then
and
you get more books
because
and so on.
you've done the process already.
Yeah. So so never try. Always try to think. Not I'm saying think small, but think manageable.
Yeah. Definitely.
Once you've managed that, then it'll be easy for you to manage into other
And
things.
honestly, I think that can apply to any project, any venture.
Yeah.
People sometimes just see they focus on the big.
Yeah, that's
goal,
true. That's true.
but
Yeah.
Yeah, managing it into smaller pieces.
So it's sometimes I said, where people have problems, and I said, no, sit back, go back.
Yeah.
So a lot of the things which I receive on my NGL is always about, I can't do this, I can't do that. I said, look, you've got a problem with this simply because you think you put everything in your head. Of course, when you put everything in your head, your head starts getting messed up.
Yeah.
You've got like these 10 things to do.
tangled
Yeah. I said, no, sit down, get a piece of paper, write them down.
Yeah, break it down.
Yeah, these are the 10 things you need to do. Fine. I said, which are the things that you need to do first? Which are the things you need to do less? So once you take them out of your mind and onto that paper, then your mind gets better.
Yeah. I mean, people always blame maybe the environment or macam the economic situation. I mean, yes, these are the reality, but you can
That's
find
true,
a way to adapt to it somehow.
Yeah. So even people who come up to me and get depressed, I have to go to work tomorrow, but I don't know what to do. I said, when you go to work tomorrow, think of what you can do first. What is it that you can manage?
Yeah.
Then once you get, it's just like that book. Once you get that one article in, it's just a matter of doing the others. But selagi you belum buat, selagi itu you start to think,
you won't be able to do it.
you'll be able to do it.
Yeah.
So
Definitely.
so it's not hard trying to get out. It's just a matter of pushing yourself out there.
Yeah, because I think as well for the creative industry, that's what we see happen. People jump into ventures, but they'll give up maybe after a few projects, and then
I know.
and it's trying to push them, encourage to keep on going. So I think
my worry about this creative industry is that we tend to try to go big at once. I remember when I was in Ministry of Culture, there was this group who wanted to do a whole series of animated cartoons. Yeah,
like
fine.
a
I
cartoon
said yeah.
series.
I said fine, but we don't know whether that will sell immediately. So you're spending 10 to 12 months without any income. So you've got this team of people who are drawing this animation. So why not find a job as a subcontractor where there is a job for you to do, while in the meantime you can develop this. So you need a base. And then that sometimes people forget, because people I don't blame them for wanting to be big.
Yeah, they want to jump on a project.
So I don't blame them, but you need to be real. You need to be real.
Yeah.
So you need to find what can you do first in the meantime. So it's that kind of thing. So I mean, if you apply that to a lot of situations, I'm sure you can be successful.
Yeah, that's the mentality you need to have. Especially creative project will have challenges.
That's true. Yeah,
it will confirm have challenges.
The ability to sell is already number one. I mean, for me, I look at whether the book will sell or not.
Yeah.
We know already when we looked at it and I said this book might not sell. We know that because
the risk will be there.
The risk will be there.
So many. I mean, in terms of wisdom, of course, you have a lot to share. I think one thing to me is that people, you've lived a full life.
Too long.
But the fact that you're here today and still being positive, it shows that resilience that you talked about. We know your wife passed away and everything. I mean, the hardships that you went through, but still being able to talk to two kids. I think it just shows
you're not kids. I don't see you as kids.
We were kids once. But yeah, it's just very inspiring to me.
Thank you.
And I think we're really just so thankful and so proud that you are who you are. I think that's one thing we want to share as well. I guess we can wrap it up.
Okay.
I
would just like to also thank you for coming into this podcast. Really appreciate it, and also thank you for all those audio, all the audios, because I just couldn't believe that there was someone who would be, who would do this on our website where you can always refer to the old songs of Brunei. It's just inspiring. We always refer to that website. Because of that, it made me a good, at least a good music producer as well.
No, because we want to find songs here.
To represent Brunei. So because of that, we could represent Brunei using the songs that you give out. So thank you very much.
Any final remarks, Tuan, before we go?
Yes, thank you for inviting me. When I do all those things, putting up all the resources and so on, wasn't really expecting anything, but I love to hear how people were able to develop and use them. Alhamdulillah. I'm always, a number of people said thank you, but I'm not there for that. My idea has always been, here's Brunei, here's what they are, through the songs, through the writings, through the musics and so on. At least you know what they are. So it is what it is. It's just an information site. How you use it, that depends on your creativity, that depends on your ingenuity. But I'm just out there to post it, and just like what I'm doing today, if people make use of my advice, alhamdulillah. I hope it helps you. I don't know whether it does. Because
sure
we never know all these things, so but it's out there. So yes, if it helps you, alhamdulillah. You don't have to thank me for that. I'm just here hoping that the world becomes a better place. That's all there is.
So an excellent mindset to have. So we hope to see you again soon, Tuan.
Inshallah.
We wish you the very best in all your
thank you so much.
Projects after this. So alhamdulillah, we could just completed the episode. Stay tuned for next week. More guests, more surprises. Facts of Life, the #1 podcast in Brunei. Stay
Yeah.
safe. Holla.